preventing pain, fear, and suffering of animals through nationwide education and awareness from all across the globe. This is Animal Radio Network.
And welcome this week, Joan Van Ark, joining us in just a couple of minutes. Big animal lover, a big event going on in Hollywood. She'll tell us all about it. Also, this week, starter pets. Yeah, what kind of pets are good pets to start your kids off with? I started off with a cactus. And then I moved to Mexican jumping beans, and we'll actually talk to someone who raises Mexican jumping beans today. Line 2, Joan?
Hey, Hal.
Oh, yes.
Where are you guys?
I'm in Kanab right now, and I'm one of the happiest men in Kanab right now.
Oh, Kanab, Utah. Do you know that I filmed there once?
It's a beautiful place to film, and a lot of films were made out here. What'd you do out here?
Well, I came with Lee Majors. I was his love interest in the thing, and what's his name? Vince Van Patten was my brother, and it was something to do with the not $1 Million. What was the series that he did?
$6 Million Man?
Yeah, well, it was something connected with that because it was a TV movie. And I remember, because I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and I thought, oh, I'm going to love it in Kanab, and it's gorgeous. I got so bored, so they hired, so they hired a Wrangler cowboy to take me on day-long rides to keep me, to shut me up and keep me from being so restless and bored.
They actually had to hire somebody for that?
Yes! Well, that's what they said they did anyway. This Wrangler took me on, because I used to ride, over weekends. We would go on horseback rides up over Arapahoe Pass in Boulder.
Yes.
So, but Kanab is gorgeous, but very quiet, unless it's changed.
Well, I'm a Denver boy, so I like Boulder a lot. And Kanab, of course, is home to Best Friends Animal Sanctuary, and just a lot of animal lovers.
Well, I know, because Betty White, I was involved with Betty White with that, because she has something to do with, she has something to do with every...
Yes, she does. She was just on the radio, in fact, she always is.
Yes.
In fact, if you're from Denver and Boulder, what do you think about this John Benet Ramsey thing?
I try to not watch that information. Yeah. The whole thing is very upsetting.
This guy's nuts. I don't think he's the one.
Oh, no.
I don't think he is. It's like it's like a fantasy or something.
It's all very, very strange.
Who knows if we'll ever know the truth on that one.
They may actually find O.J.'s killer, too.
Well, maybe it was O.J. that did this. Who knows? But, I mean, it's an awful chapter, and very sad that, she died this summer.
Right.
Yeah.
She's not even, I don't know. It's a horrible...
Yeah, it really is, and that's why I try to keep my head buried under the sand.
Well, you're right, because it's something that's done, it's behind us, and we, as you said, Judy, we may never know.
Yeah, that's why we try to hang out with the animals.
Well, tell me, in Utah, there is a shelter there?
Well, actually, Best Friends Animal Society is probably the biggest shelter in the country, home to at least 1,500 animals at any one time. And we're not affiliated with them, but this whole town of Kanab is a bunch of animal lovers, a bunch of crazy animal lovers. So we decided to build studios here. We love it. It's very beautiful. We miss the ocean very much.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, let's talk about this big event coming up because it is so important, so near and dear to me. We will actually have an animal radio correspondent there broadcasting live,
good.
and we didn't get to go to the New York one.
That was amazing. May I say, that was an evening that, celebrities, actors have opportunities and invitations every time they turn around. You've got to put on a tuxedo or a gown and go to an event. This one was so special and memorable. The people involved were amazing, and the genuine feeling of caring, and it wasn't hype. It was absolutely there. Alicia Silverstone was honored that night, and she said something that I thought was so relatable and profound in a way. And she said, if you're not vegan, which is a lot of them weren't, and I have to say that I am not 100% vegan, and but doing homework and studying about Farm Sanctuary, I realized how unbelievably deep this subject is. And she said, take it one meal at a time. And I love that, because I thought, if some weekend, because in Colorado where I grew up, barbecues were, a family reunion, a family gathering, so I associate it with love and being together with my family. But what she was saying is one meal at a time, you are solving this problem of mass slaughter of farm animals, that they raise just for slaughter.
And if you're just tuning in right now, we're talking about the Farm Sanctuary's gala events that they have several times a year to raise funds for all the work they do. Of course, the one in New York was at that ritzy restaurant. Cipriani's, yes.
Cipriani's in New York.
Coming up here in Hollywood for us West Coasters. Us left coasters, we can go to the Hollywood Hills on August 26th and hang out. Are you going to be there?
I absolutely will be there, and I can tell you some of the other wonderful people who will be there too. Rebecca De Mornay, Corey Feldman's going to be there.
Oh, yes.
Kevin Nealon. Let me see, Darren Star, who did Sex in the City.
Yes.
Loretta Swit. Joan Van Ark, of course. Kelly Williams, who did The Practice. There are going to be a lot. And David, I never say his name right, and he does Bones. How do you say his name?
I don't know.
Boreanaz, but he's the lead in Bones. And he was at the Cipriani event. There are so many people that were part of the Cipriani event in New York that are also going to be attending this West Coast gala on the 26th.
Why is this so important to every celebrity? Tell the listeners that. I know why.
Well, I think when a celebrity uses their celebrity responsibly, then we can bring awareness to an issue that is definitely a major issue, which is factory farming and bringing up animals or just raising animals simply for slaughter is not right. It is absolutely not right. And Farm Sanctuary's goal is to provide protection and awareness of this issue. And they just recently got a group of pigs, 6 little piglets that were used in experimental surgeries for hernias.
Oh.
And the 6 piglets have been taken to their California shelter in Orland.
Mm-hmm.
And one of
I heard about this.
Yes, one of the pigs is named Joan Van Ark.
That's great.
I love it because I have this little portrait of this little pig sleeping, and her name is Joan Van Ark. And I'm going to, definitely sponsor this little piglet for the rest of her lovely life, because she was rescued after the surgery, and they will stay there in Orland and be happy.
Now, who named her Joan Van Ark?
Well, my manager kept wanting to push this, and I thought, is that a good sign or what? But they did. Farm Sanctuary did.
Oh, I think it's an honor.
It was at my manager, Conrad Lay's suggestion.
I think it's an honor.
Yes.
It is an honor. No, I love it. I've got it in the kitchen. I put this picture of the pig in the appropriate room, which is the kitchen, and just remind myself.
Well, they're just part of the wonderful animals that are there at the Farm Sanctuary. And, of course, the work the Farm Sanctuary does is changing the way animals are,
treated.
Yes. And I know this is going to sound kind of contrary, but even in slaughterhouses, the way they're treated there.
It's, at the Cipriani event in New York, they had film clips and some documentaries, and it was so affecting. I mean, you watch this and you just think, I'll never taste it and look at another piece of meat, or foie gras, which is, a whole other issue where they force feed the ducks, and try to expand their livers. And, I think of Wolfgang Puck now a little differently because, no, I really do kind of, and I think this is a gifted and incredible man, but he insists on serving it, and, that's his world, but if he only knew or could observe what goes on in order to bring this delicacy to the table.
Well, I think a lot of people like myself put their head under the sand.
I think they do too, and I think it's because it's a pattern that we've all perhaps grown up with or just been, a part of for so long. And just like any bad habit, you can change it, but you have to address it first. Pull your head out from under the sand and confront it.
No, it's just a matter of education. I think people truly don't know when they're eating veal or when they're eating the foie gras exactly what the animal suffered to bring that to their table.
And that is the exact word, suffered. Mm-hmm. And so many of these farm animals have suffered. And my biggest solidifier in a way is if you look into the eyes of any of these animals, you see a soul. Mm-hmm. And soul to soul, to be humane, you cannot do that to another soul. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it's all about. And I see it in the eyes of any creature that you look at. I used to do stuff for American Humane, and they said that all the serial killers documented, Son of Sam and Jeffrey Dahmer, these people, the Boston Strangler, these people were all animal abusers growing up. And
So they start out that way.
They start out that way. And I want to say to the listeners that if ever you see a person abusing an animal, it's a yellow flag, and call attention to it to either authorities or the appropriate person, because that is a habit that escalates, and it's a terrible and a wrong thing to be doing.
Well, you're a big-time animal lover. Tell us about animals as a child. Did you have animals as a child? I know as an actress it's hard to travel with animals.
Yes, but when I was growing up in Boulder, we had animals you cannot believe. We had rabbits in hutches that were our pets. We had 2 lambs, which is the names are inappropriate for this discussion, but it's lamb chop and lamb stew.
Okay.
But that is not what happened.
We know the spirit.
We named them.
We know the
lamb chop and
spirit.
lamb stew.
We know the spirit. Were you raised on a ranch or somewhere?
No, actually, Boulder, Colorado, on a hilltop, surrounded by farmland all around, cows grazing here, there, and everywhere. I grew up mostly riding horseback, and we had at various times between 3 and 5 horses, and it was, I guess you might call it a ranch, but it was really more just a residence with a paddock, and farmlands all around, as I say, and pets everywhere. Golden retrievers mostly, because that's the dog du jour. Now it's a yellow lab. The dog du jour is yellow lab in Colorado, but at that time it was a golden retriever. And kittens and cats, and I think I've had pets all my life, but that's because they're your best friends.
Sure, they give you that unconditional love. Did you have any special connections with the horses?
Oh, beyond, yes. Rambler was my first horse, and so many young women grow up. Because I run now. I run 10 miles a day as my workout.
Good for you.
Yeah. In fact, that would be what I would adore if I were up there in Kanab. I would be running through your gorgeous countryside there. But I think my running is a transfer from growing up riding, because there's a solitude that happens when you ride distance on horseback. And that a lot of girls growing up... that's kind of their power and their time to kind of sort things out. And I know on my run, I work things out and figure things out. And I think it started with my long rides as I was growing up as a teenager, riding horseback in Colorado.
So what type of animals do you have now?
We have 2 dogs, a Chow, Goldie, and a lab mix, black lab mix. He's called Lucky, but I call him Pilot because my husband is an aerobatic pilot.
Wow.
Yeah, he rides in an open cockpit airplane and does aerobatics.
You know, I hear it in the tone of your voice. You're not too happy about that.
No, I'm not. This makes me so nervous, but I can't, I have to let him have his thing. So, but yeah, it makes me a bit nervous. But, and then we have 1 cat, Sheba. Sheba, but there have been times where I've had as much as 3 or 4 or 5 cats. When I was doing Knots Landing, a series that I did for quite a long time.
A little series that you might have heard of.
You might have heard of that, or Dallas, one of those 2. But I had, I think at one time, 4 cats or so, and my favorite one was Snug Harbor, who is buried right outside here with a stone cross out near our garage, because I couldn't stand to have him far from me. And he was a black and white. He looked like a Guernsey cow. They call him tuxedo cats. He was a tabby. But he was, without a doubt, my best friend. Oprah flew me with Ted Shackelford, my co-star in Knots, back to Chicago to do a Celebrity and Their Pets episode of Oprah's show. And it was hysterical, staying at the Four Seasons Hotel with my cat, Snug Harbor. Unbelievable.
Oh, how wonderful! Well, let's see. What are you doing these days? I saw you in I think it was December of last year on a reunion. Wait, I got to ask you this question. I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the animals, because I just saw this underlying theme here with well, let's see. We had Bob Barker on, and it's Dick Clark, who's a big animal lover. They all stay very young looking. How is it someone like you? You look like you did 20 years ago.
No way I do. I think that, you want what? What's the gift you want me to send you? No way. And it's such a challenge out here in LA, which is youth center, you know.
Oh, yes.
But I do think one thing that does help me a ton is my running, which I started out to do perhaps as a physical, but now it's more just clear the cobwebs out. And I do, I'm very physical, and I will stay physical, I believe, for the rest of my life. And I always have been, but I mean, that becomes my shrink. I don't see a shrink or do any of that, and I'm not proud of that because I know they help people and on and on and on. But my shrink is my running, the same way the mountains are where you are, or in Boulder, Colorado. Mm-hmm. That's my church. So I think you have to, achieve a balance.
Sure, yeah.
And
well, you've been married. I assume you're still married to John Marshall, right?
That is the man.
That's the aerobatic guy?
High school sweetheart.
How does high school sweetheart?
Boulder High School in Boulder, Colorado.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and I get embarrassed about it because it's like, oh, how boring. But people say, no, it's quite an achievement. So
Oh, it is.
I'll take that, whatever.
Well, we want to make sure that everybody listening now has a chance to check out the website, the Farm Sanctuary website. If you can't check out the Party for the Animals in Hollywood on August 26th, be sure to check out the website. Either way, it's farmsanctuary.org. The event on the 26th, I assume, just like a Cipriani's, has vegan hors d'oeuvres and
totally. Wine, beer and wine, and vegan hors d'oeuvres, and a guest list to die for. And it's between 7 and 9 o'clock on the 26th. They can be in touch at the farmsanctuary.org website.
We thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Well, thank you, and go take a good long look at the view out there and do it for me.
I will. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
You're listening to Animal Radio. You can learn more about today's guest at animalradio.com. Log on. Learn more.
The Animal Minute is brought to you by Doggone It Lawn Repair and Gee Whiz for dogs, natural and organic. Doggone It Lawn Repair heals yellow spots in your lawn, while Gee Whiz prevents urine burns before they start. Available at local pet stores, grocery stores, or lawn and garden stores. To learn more, visit www.earthsbalance.com.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too. In Ogden, Utah, a police dog left in a pickup truck with the engine running knocked the truck into gear and ran down a woman who was walking to her mailbox. The victim, 41-year-old Mary Stone, suffered a fractured pelvis and tailbone. The police dog, a German shepherd named Ranger, was left in the truck while his handler responded to a domestic disturbance call. Lieutenant Loring Draper said he left Ranger with the truck running so he could have some air conditioning, but Ranger somehow knocked the automatic transmission into drive and ran into Stone before hitting a car in her driveway. Stone was expected to be released from the hospital after a few days, and Ranger is expected to stay out of the driver's seat from now on. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
You work hard to keep your lawn green, so stop chasing your dog around to prevent those yellow spots. Doggone It Lawn Repair heals lawns from dog or cat urine without reseeding or resodding. You can even prevent urine burns before they start with Gee Whiz for dogs. Both Doggone It and Gee Whiz, all natural and organic products, are available at local pet stores, grocery stores, or lawn and garden stores. To have the best lawn on the block, visit www.earthsbalance.com. That's earthsbalance.com.
Scoop Free is the first litter box you can leave alone for weeks at a time with no scooping, cleaning, or refilling.
Scoop Free is a revolution in automatic litter boxes. Its disposable throwaway trays are filled with fresh step crystal litter that provide unbeatable odor control and are so convenient. After about 30 days per cat, just replace a disposable litter tray and that's it.
Just load it, leave it, and love it. Available at select pet stores and at scoopfree.com.
Looks like you caught me peeking in your bathroom closet. Hi, I'm Be Humane, star of Be Humane Goes Shopping. Perhaps you've heard of me. You've got a lot of stuff that was tested on animals. Shampoo, cleaner, mascara. Did you know that some of these companies still test their products on animals? Throw this stuff out. You see, you have a choice when buying your household and cosmetic products. You can make a difference for animals by only buying cruelty-free products. What? How do you know these products are cruelty-free? Request a free compassionate shopping guide from AAVS. To know which companies are cruelty-free, just call 1-800-SAY-AAVS or visit www.aavs.org and look for my movie, Be Humane, Go Shopping. Don't forget, 1-800-SAY-AAVS or visit www.aavs.org.
Your cat deserves world's best cat litter. A new breed of cat litter with a level of performance that makes it worthy of the name World's Best. Made from whole kernel corn, it binds odors naturally, resulting in superior odor control without the use of perfumes. It is truly flushable, clumpable, scoopable, biodegradable, and septic safe. You just scoop it and flush it. It's ideal for use in self-cleaning litter boxes. It is also veterinarian recommended and safe for kittens of all ages. Ask for World's Best cat litter at your grocery store, PetSmart, Petco, and anywhere fine pet supplies are sold. The Veterinary Minute is brought to you by World's Best Cat Litter. Made from whole kernel corn, World's Best Cat Litter has superior odor control without the use of perfumes and scents, and is clumpable and scoopable. It is also truly septic safe and flushable. Ask your grocer or pet supply store for World's Best Cat Litter.
Spending on pets expected to soar. I'm Dr. Jim Humphreys reporting. Fluffy, Fido, and Spot tug at their owners' hearts and, in many cases, at their wallets. About 63% of all U.S. households, or 69 million homes, have at least one pet, according to the American Pet Products Manufacturers Association. Experts expect the growth of two demographic groups, children younger than 18 years of age and empty nesters, to drive that number higher over the next few years. The pet products experts point to research showing that having a pet can provide benefits ranging from helping to lower blood pressure to assisting in fighting depression. That, or just the fact that many pet owners view their pets as members of the family, helps drive them to providing the animals with the best of everything. Pet industry expenditures were $36 billion in 2005 and are expected to grow by 5.8% to about $38 billion in 2006, according to the association. 10 years ago, such expenditures were $21 billion, according to the association's data. Pet owners are also spending more on their animals' health care, particularly for preventive care and services that were previously available only to humans. Economy experts predict services and veterinary care, now little more than 30% of all pet industry expenditures, will have close to double-digit growth this year and for several years after that. If gas is up to $4 or $5 a gallon, we may drive less, but we're still going to spend the same amount on our pets. For the Veterinary News Network at myvnn.com, I'm Dr. Jim Humphreys on Animal Radio.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Coles of Rebecca's Gardening. You are listening to Animal Radio, and remember, don't forget to spay and neuter your pets.
Do not adjust your station. That's not static. It's a dozen dogs who got the #2 flea control product just 1 week ago, and they're already scratching away. Now hear this. Silence. The sound of a dozen dogs who used Frontline Plus 4 weeks ago. So which dogs would you rather have in a cramped radio booth with you? Hey, give me back my shoe! Frontline Plus. It's waterproof and kills fleas fast all month long. Say goodbye to fleas and ticks.
You're listening to Animal Radio. You can learn more about today's guest at animalradio.com. Log on. Learn more. Preventing pain, fear, and suffering of animals through nationwide education and awareness from all across the globe. This is Animal Radio Network.
Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we'll be talking about some starter pets like jumping beans, Mexican jumping beans.
Oh, no.
Oh, do not laugh, young lady. You might hear them in the background every once in a while. You hear a little clacking, and especially when the music dies down low, you'll hear
I
them.
hear them. Listen. That is the beans?
Those are the jumping beans as they heat up under the studio lights. And as the lights cool down, they become quiet. And we'll find out more in just a couple of minutes. Animal Radio is brought to you by PetMate. When transporting your pet, kennel size is critical, ladies and gentlemen. It's critical to your pet's safety. And the new PetMate Very Kennel is Ultra is available in a wide variety of colors, sizes, and meets airline requirements. The Very Kennel Ultra. See how I put the Ultra in there? That's their new one. It's the Ultra. Visit them at www.petmate.com. And by the way, if you want to speak to Joy Turner and your pet, 1-866-405-8405. That's the number. Hi, Soledad.
Hi, Al. This is Soledad. How are you doing?
Good. Where are we calling you?
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, lovely Albuquerque, New Mexico, where you are a jumping bean aficionado. We are today talking about great starter pets. I started with a cactus. I moved up to goldfish, but I had in between there, I had jumping beans.
Oh, great.
And I think they're a great, fun little thing. Everything alive is divine, and they are certainly alive. Many people don't know this. Tell the listeners what jumping beans really are.
Well, they are actually a seed pod that comes from a shrub that only grows in Mexico. It comes from a certain bush that grows in the Sierra Madre mountains. And it's a little larva, actually, that puts its egg in the seed pod of an apple, kind of like an apple does in the apple blossom. Mm-hmm. And they put this in their little egg in this shrub. Seed pod is formed around the egg, and then eventually that egg turns into a little larva. The larva then eats the seed that's in the seed pod, and the seed pods, about 21 days after their first rains in May, are mature enough, they burst apart, fall to the ground, and that's when they start jumping. It's a little larva that's eating the seed that causes a jumping motion.
Wow.
And these then seeds are hand-picked all over the Sierra Madres. We have people that hand-pick them for us. We gather them. And then that little larva will continue to eat until about January or so, and then it starts to turn into a little pupa, kind of goes through metamorphosis and turns into a moth and will release itself between February and the following May.
Wow, I didn't know they were seasonal like that.
Yes.
Okay, so we have several in studio that you sent us. We're going to be giving them away in a second at 1-866-405-8405. They're jumping right now if you can hear them in the background. We have hot studio lights, and that's what gets them going is a little bit of heat, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they sleep, and I noticed that if I knock them or touch them, they quiet down
Yeah,
immediately.
They're very sensitive to changes in light, sound, and movement, so and heat, obviously. If you first move them, they will kind of get scared and stop jumping, then they start jumping again. Sometimes they get a little sluggish. If they've been in the dark for a long time, you give them a little shake, it wakes them up, and they start moving. So if you can make them move by turning the lights on and off. They're in the dark. If you want them to be quiet, like at night, you'll put them away in a little drawer and keep them quiet and in the dark, because then they don't jump.
So what kind of care and feeding do I do?
No feeding. They're the greatest pet. You don't have to walk them, feed them, brush them, any of those things. All you need to do is you can take them out and mist them with a little bit of water. They're affected. If it gets too dry, they can dry out literally. So maybe a little misting, but that's not really necessary. Don't leave them in your car.
Of course.
Because even though they're affected by heat, that, of course, will dry them out and kill them if there's too much heat. So, you can revive them to put them in a sunny window to jump or in the light, and that will revive them. You can put them in your warm hand, and that will make them jump. And that's pretty much all. Is just the longer you want to keep them is make sure they're a little bit moist. You can mist them a little bit and keep them in the dark when you're not playing with them, and then they will last longer. They won't hatch so soon.
Will they keep jumping until they hatch?
Yes. Now, they begin to slow down the closer and closest it comes to this time of metamorphosis until there's a time when they actually go dormant, when they're going through this, they spin a cocoon. And they transform, go through metamorphosis. When after they spin the cocoon, they're actually kind of dormant and don't jump for a little while. And then just before they hatch, they begin to make movement again to get the release going. They've already, when they first go into the seed pod, they bore a tiny little hole on the inside that won't go all the way through. And so when they come out, you'll see at the top of the bean this perfectly round little hole where they push open that little hole they've drilled in the very beginning. They finish then gnawing their way through, and then they fly out. And then you should just let the moths go. There's no sense in they do not want clothes. They are not interested. They're teeny tiny little.
You got to point them south, right?
Right. They're basically, they would look for another Sebastiana tree where they could lay their egg. But of course, here the reason we can import them is that there aren't any of those in the United States.
Yeah, very cool. So I imagine your office there is full of beans, huh?
Yes, it is.
Does it get a little noisy around there?
It gets very noisy. We've had a lot of rain here, but sometimes you go inside and you think, what is going on? Is it still raining? No, it's the beans.
Well, I can vouch to this because the only 10 that we have here, and you have thousands, I'm sure.
Right.
Actually, you send them out in threes, which is good, so they have company. And they make lots of noise. In fact, we had to move them from office to office to office because they're so near a radio studio, and people are going, "What's going on in the background there?"
Right, exactly. That's true.
And I love the names. We've got a jumping bean-dito.
Right.
We have a lariat Jane.
Yes.
And we have a mean bean.
Yes. Oh, now maybe you didn't get a Chiquita. You must be missing a Chiquita. I'll have to send you one.
Nope, I have it. Here it is. Here's a Chiquita
Beanita. Yeah, these are the characters. And if you go to our website at jbean.com, there's puzzles for kids to do, and there's a story about the jumping beanditos and kind of what their little attributes are. Chiquita likes to dance. Lariat obviously likes to rope. And, Mean Bean is just always mean. So
Now, how much is it going to cost us to get started in the bean world?
Well, we sell, if you're a wholesale and you can buy a whole tub if you'd like.
Well, we just want to start with 2 or 3, right?
But actually, we send, our minimum order is for 11 boxes of beans, and I believe that's $14.50. And we send you the 11 boxes, and then there's 20 boxes.
So you could go in with the neighborhood and actually distribute them.
Well, I think the smart thing to do, a lot of schools buy them, a lot of young kids buy them for different kinds of things. You can buy a tub, and there's 144 in a tub, and they're great for parties or selling or fundraisers. Those kinds of things are great. And if you're a store, you can just go to our website or call us and get an order in.
They're also great for your pet. I think you should get them for your pet.
Our cats love them.
Just captivated by them.
The cats are just captivated by you. You should keep them in the box.
Of course. Yes, I won't, not when the cats are around.
And of course they won't harm you. Even if you were to eat them, nothing would happen to you. So they're totally non-toxic, and it'd be best not to swallow them.
Yeah, please don't eat your jumping beans.
Right.
The website's jbean.com. Of course, links to everything you've heard on today's show at animalradio.com.
Yes, it does.
And I'm going to give away 10 right now. 1-866-405-8405. It's 10 boxes. Each box includes 3 jumping benditos for you. We thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Soledad. No relation to Soledad or Brian. Oh, no, that's a first name. I'm sorry. I'm not the brightest.
That's all right. No, not related, but we may be way back. We must have both had mothers that came from Mexico.
More Animal Radio on the way.
Okay.
The California Bald Eagle Recovery Program. I'm Jan Sluicer in San Francisco, where the Eagle Conservation Program is flying high.
Big news, nation. As many of you know, the San Francisco Zoo is naming a bald eagle after me. And last night, Stephen Jr. hatched. That's right. I'm a daddy again. Woo! Who wants a cigar?
Stephen Colbert of Comedy Central's Colbert Report. Stephen Jr. is one of 100 bald eagle chicks hatched over the past 20 years as part of the California Bald Eagle Recovery Program.
A captive breeding program at the San Francisco Zoo with the specific intention of providing eaglets for reintroduction programs in the state of California.
Zoo curator John Aiken says 90 eagles have been released back in the wild over the past 20 years, and he's thrilled to be part of the program.
These are eagles, and they're amazing. These guys hatch, and they're like little dinosaurs, with little pudgy toes and claws, and then they grow up to be dragons. And to watch a creature like that is phenomenal. And to see them flying in nature is something that everybody should experience.
Aiken says so far this year, out of 14 fertile eagle eggs laid, 12 chicks have hatched.
Stephen Colbert deserves to have an eagle named after him because he's hysterical. he's this funny parody on right-wingism in the United States, and the bald eagle is our national symbol. He's got this cheesy graphic of this bald eagle flying through the show that comes back up that makes you all laugh, and so it's just a wonderful thing to name an eagle after him, and it's so thrilling for us that he's accepted this honor and has made so much fun out of it.
The zoo's California Bald Eagle Recovery Program is the only large-scale captive breeding program for bald eagles in the United States. Jan Sluizer, San Francisco.
Thanks, Jan. We appreciate that. You watch the Colbert Report every once in a while.
I actually saw it. If you didn't see it, it was very hilarious.
And that little eagle in the very beginning. Heartworm. We hear about heartworm in our dogs, but we never hear about it in our cats. And our cats can get it. And it could or could not be fatal. We'll find out up next, right here on Animal Radio, brought to you by BioSpot Premium Flea and Tick Control Products for dogs and cats. One application keeps pets free of fleas and ticks for up to 4 weeks. BioSpot, available at your local pet store, or visit www.biospot.com.
I'm Margaret Jenkins, and I breed and train dogs for people who are sight impaired. Our owners rely on our dogs, and I rely on BioSpot. These dogs, they help guide their owners through everyday life so they don't have time to scratch because of fleas and ticks. In the 20 years I've been doing this, I have tried a lot of products, and I found that BioSpot is as effective as what I used to get at my vet, but it's available at my local pet store, and it's guaranteed to work.
BioSpot is simple, providing many breeds of dogs and cats with relief without constant applications.
BioSpot is really effective. One application keeps pets free of fleas and ticks and even mosquitoes for up to 4 weeks. And it kills flea eggs and larvae for up to 4 months.
BioSpot is also a great value. It's about a third the cost of leading veterinarian brands, and it's guaranteed to work with all sizes and breeds of dogs and cats or your money back.
These dogs have to be at their best, so I rely on the best. BioSpot.
Go to biospot.com today. It's the choice of professionals.
Well, you've heard us talking about Get Serious, the pet stain odor and pheromone extractor for several months now, and how easily it removes carpet stains left from cat vomit. Now I want to talk to you about a problem dog owners face. It's called remarking. If your dog remarks, you might have thought about banishing him from the house, or worse, taking him to the shelter. You use other cleaners, but your dog keeps going back to the same spot. Don't blame your pet because you used a product that didn't get the job done. End the problem with Get Serious. Pheromones, they're something you can't smell. They draw them back to the same spot. Get Serious is the only product that totally extracts the pheromone so your pets won't be attracted back to remark. Get Serious is recommended by rescue groups and veterinarians, and Get Serious keeps pets in homes and out of shelters. You can find Get Serious at PetSmart and in fine pet stores all over. Visit their website at GetSeriousProducts.com. Again, that's GetSeriousProducts.com.
Hi, this is Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, and you're listening to Animal Radio. Don't have a cow, man.
Preventing pain, fear, and suffering of animals through nationwide education and awareness from all across the globe. This is Animal Radio Network.
And if you haven't had a chance yet to qualify for the summer giveaway, you ought to do it. We added this week from Nintendo. What do they call it? Nintendogs?
Nintendogs.
Boy.
How exciting.
You can go to our front page at animalradio.com and click a link. It'll take you actually to a webcam, show you all the prizes and how to qualify. Don't have enough time to tell you everything that's in there. It would take a good 5-10 minutes. And we got to go to the phones. We have a very, very important person on the phone. I didn't know that cats could get heartworm, but apparently they can.
It's true.
Dr. Ann Norton?
Yes.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good. I guess we're calling you in Sacramento?
Yes, I'm in Rockland, which is right outside of Sacramento.
What's the weather like today?
It's beautiful, a little hot. It's going to be about 98 today.
Which is, it seems like Sacramento's been getting some kind of hot weather recently.
Well, last month we had horrible weather.
What's that about? Is that global warming, you think?
I don't know. It was horrible. We had more hot days in the month of June than set records. But actually, it's been very nice lately. It's cooled down and we're fine.
Well, I called you up today because I wanted to talk about heartworm, and I don't know if that's something that's seasonal when there's hot weather or when there's cold weather, if it's year-round. I know nothing about heartworm. What I do know mostly applies to dogs.
Right.
And there's not a lot of information that's dispersed about cats and heartworm, and I'm wondering if you can hip us to it.
Sure can. Heartworm disease varies in terms of seasonality with where you are in the country.
Okay.
Heartworm is carried, the intermediate host is the mosquito.
Okay.
So a mosquito bites an infected animal and then picks up the immature heartworms, which are circulating in the animal's blood, and then flies over and bites an uninfected animal, and when it bites, it puts the baby heartworms into the uninfected animal. So that's how the animal gets infected.
So the mosquito doesn't actually carry it. It
actually does develop in the mosquito. It goes through 2 stages of development in the mosquito before it's transmissible to another animal. So the mosquito is an important part of the host. It has to be there.
When you say certain parts of the country, obviously areas that have mosquitoes?
Well, yeah, areas that have mosquitoes, pretty much everywhere in the country has mosquitoes, but areas that are colder in the winter that the mosquitoes die off, then it's more of a seasonal problem. So in the eastern United States or in Canada, areas like that, it's really a spring, summer, fall disease. In California, in the South, it's pretty much a year-round disease because there are mosquitoes year-round.
Are there other hosts?
In terms of, you mean animal dogs? And dogs are the major host. Okay. And that's the natural, and the canids, all the wild canids certainly. So foxes and wolves and coyotes and things like that are also the natural host for heartworm. So areas that have a lot of wild animals, even if you're putting all your dogs on heartworm preventative, still have a major population that's going to transmit heartworm to other animals. But it can infest other animals, especially cats. And although cats are not the natural, animal that gets heartworm, when they are infected by it, because they're not the natural one, they have a much more violent reaction frequently to the heartworm. So in cats, it's actually more of a lung disease than it is a heart disease. What the worms do, once the heartworm is transmitted to the animal into the bloodstream, it moves through the animal. It takes somewhere between, in dogs, about 6 to 7 months, and in cats, about 8 months, to move from it's initially being injected into the animal to the heart of the animal. And during that time, it's going to migrate through the lungs, and the cat forms a very violent inflammatory response to that migrating worm. So frequently, cats will have signs like coughing, they'll become asthmatic, they will even have sudden death. I mean, there are cats that will just drop over dead from the heartworm.
Well, this is personal for you, isn't it?
It is personal for me. I actually had a cat that died of heartworm disease when I first started working as a veterinarian. I'm actually at the foothills of California, are one of the really, really endemic areas for heartworm. We have a lot of heartworm there. And one of my own cats died from heartworm, just suddenly died. Young cat, 4-year-old cat. So, it was pretty horrible.
Once they have it, is there a cure?
There is not a treatment for cats. In dogs, we can treat heartworm disease. In cats, we cannot, because the products that we use in dogs are actually toxic to cats, and it'll kill them. So once a cat's infected, there's nothing you can do except wait for the heartworm to die.
So the best bet is prevention.
Prevention is absolutely the best thing to do for cats.
And there are medicines on the market that
There
I assume?
are several medicines that do it. There are oral medications that you can give, the same as we give to dogs. There's a topical product that we can use that will prevent heartworm in cats. So we have both options in cats as well as we do in dogs.
And how often should they be treated?
They're monthly treatments.
Okay, so monthly for, depending on where you live, it could be year-round?
Yeah, the recommendation usually is to just do it year-round no matter where you live. Just that way you know you're doing it. Sometimes people in the eastern United States may quit during the winter months, but you have a spring thaw and the mosquitoes come out, and if you don't have your animal on preventative, they can get infected.
And this is a medicine that anybody can give. You don't need to take your cat to the vet every month, do you?
No, it's either a pill, which it's a chewable pill, which they eat monthly, or it's a product that you spot on their back and put on their back that will kill the heartworm. And so once a month, you either apply the topical product or give them the pill, and that prevents the heartworm. They do have to go into a veterinarian first just to have a checkup, make sure they're healthy, and get this prescribed. And it is a veterinary prescription, but the veterinarians don't need to do it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's not necessarily fatal for a cat? The heartworm can die off?
It can. It's not necessarily fatal for cats. Some cats are heartworm positive. We test them and find out they have heartworm, and eventually the adult worms will die. Those cats, we strongly recommend, obviously, at that point that they go on preventative so they don't get further infections, but they will die off. But again, it's variable, and when the heartworm dies, one of the problems with treating heartworm disease even in dogs is when the heartworm dies, that worm's released, and if that worm leaves in one big hunk, it can block the heart or block up an artery or a vessel and cause problems in terms of, blood clots. So treating, and again, cats have smaller vessels, have smaller hearts, so they're more prone to those problems than bigger dogs. Obviously, small dogs are pretty prone too.
Okay, well, are there any other things besides the medicine that we should be doing to prevent this, perhaps? Obviously, keeping stagnant water away from our garden.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the same things that we talk about when we talk with West Nile disease. We want to prevent having standing water. You want to make sure that you don't have a bed for mosquitoes to grow in.
Sure.
Keeping animals out of the, outside, inside during the big times that mosquitoes are flying around is helpful. Although even all indoor cats can be exposed to heartworm. About 20% of the cats that get heartworm disease are totally indoor cats.
Well, now, how can that happen? The mosquitoes get indoors?
Sure they do.
Okay.
We've all been bitten by a mosquito in the house.
Okay.
So sure they can get in. You open the door and they fly in.
Okay.
Wow.
Dr. Ann Norton, thanks so much for this very important message. We appreciate your time today.
You're welcome.
Okay, we got to go. Remember, there's lots more at animalradio.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of fresh animal programming. We want to thank Joan Van Ark for joining us today. Hope you get a chance to check out the gala event that the Farm Sanctuary is doing. Also, remember, please spay or neuter your animals. If you want a certain breed, please go to a breed rescue. And if you get a cat,
don't declaw.
We'll see you next week for more Animal Radio right here on this fine station.
Bye-bye.
This is Animal Radio
Network.